After 2 months, I'm back with another one. And for those that haven't seen these videos before, what I do in this series is I make a poster in SFM and then I do commentary over the time-lapse and share my thoughts and such. So for this poster I had already the idea established in my head, sort of. I knew I wanted Tanisha to be laying in bed, looking tired and seeing the clock being way over morning, so basically her oversleeping. And I also wanted a top-down view instead of the camera being close to the floor, like I usually have. So I first started by adding a bed, obviously, then I laid Tanisha in it. But it was quite tricky to get the pose right. As some of you know, I'm not very good at posing, so it often takes a very long time. It helps to look at references, and also doing the pose yourself in real life. Just me laying in bed gives me a better idea of how I'm gonna do the pose in SFM. So I started by bending the legs a little bit, and also rotating the body some, so she's laying on her side instead of completely straight on her back. But making it look natural is easier said than done. You often have to go back multiple times before you get it right. So for now I moved on to the head, which I only tweaked a little bit before moving on again to the left arm, which I also only tweaked a little bit before moving on. Basically, you will see yourself going back and forth all the time between the parts of the body, and pose a bit here and there all over the place. At least I do that. I'm not doing it intentionally or anything, it just happens. I thought of making her scratch her eye to show that she just woke up, so that's what I did. To get the pose of the hand right, I once again did it myself in real life. It doesn't work all the time, but for this, it worked out fine. And also the same for the other hand. If you lay your hand flat on a table or, in this case, a bed, it won't be completely flat. Your natural hand position is more like a claw, I guess. And now I went back to the legs and tweaked them a little bit. And that was everything I did for that day. So now it's the next day and I was ready to start scene building. If you don't know what scene building is, it's when you, well, the name says it all. You build the scene. So I started by adding a bedside table. Is it called that? I don't know. In Sweden it's called nattduksbord. Then, as you might have noticed, I changed the map to Black Void, which is a good map for scene building, because it's just a giant void. And the brick walls are there to show where the boundaries are, but you can't see them in the actual scene. So at this point I've added a bedside table, a wooden floor and walls, specifically greyish, because I wanted the bedroom to be cozy. I had trouble finding a good alarm clock, so this one was the best I could find. It might not fit perfectly in the scene, but it works fine. And then I added a window. Fun fact, this is starting to look like my bedroom, but mirrored and minus the grey walls. So now I started to add some props that you might have in your bedroom. Your phone, of course, a glass of water in case you get thirsty and need to drink, and I also added Tanisha's hoodie on the floor, which was surprisingly hard to get right. I had trouble making it look like someone just threw it on the floor without caring, which makes it kinda ironic that I put in this much care into making it look like she didn't care. Then I added a book, and also a piece of paper and pencil. I wanted to have a notebook instead, but I couldn't find a good one, so paper had to do. I wanted to add something to the right. It felt like I had to add something there, but I didn't really know what. I first tried at a desk, but once again I couldn't find a good one. But then eventually I thought of adding just a box, a regular cardboard box, which actually worked better than I thought. After that, I checked everything to see if I could spot some mistake or anything, and then I tweaked most of the props before I called it a day. So now it was time for lighting. This time I wanted to try something a little bit different, I guess. I wanted the light from the window to be very bright and the room to be almost completely dark. Basically, I wanted a big contrast between the outside and the room. I sat there and tweaked the light for quite a while, but in the end I only added 2 lights, which is very rare for me to do. I almost always add a ton of lights, but in this case only 2 worked pretty well. The first one is obviously the sun, and then the second one is like ambient or background light or whatever you call it, so the shadows are not pitch black. They are supposed to be dark, but not that dark. And as you probably noticed, I also added a widescreen outside the window to convey that it's very bright outside, so bright that you can't even see what's out there. And now it's time to render it. But before rendering, I closed SFM and switched to 4K, and then open it and do the rendering. I showed how to do that in a previous video. I'll link it in the description, and as a card in the top right corner. So now it's finally time to do the editing. If you're new, I always edit my posters to enhance the look of them. When doing the poster, I always have in mind that I'll be editing later, so I adjust the poster for that. And editing is a lot of fun too, which is, well, why I do it. So right now I'm making the dots on the hair and the eye brighter, so it looks like it's glowing, sort of. I could do that in SFM, but I like how it looks when doing it in post. Plus I find it easier to edit it, instead of making custom textures or something like that. And then I made Tanisha's lips a little bit more pink-ish, because I always do that. And then I went through the poster and basically just fixed it up. Like a beauty filter. Fixing the areas where it's clipping, making the face and other areas smoother, and so on. And now it was time to color grade, which is the part where the poster will really transform into something. After all, colors are everything. Orange makes it look warm, while blue makes it look cold. If you know color theory and color grading well, you can make something look incredible. I'm not saying I know color theory and such, I'm just going after experience. So what I have done now is I added a little lens flare, and I made the brightest parts of the image glow a little bit, especially the window. But if you look at the shirt, hand and ear, you'll see they are glowing a tiny bit. If you are in a dark room and turn on your phone, you'll probably notice it's kinda glowing. That's what I was going for, I suppose, and I thought it looked kinda neat. So now I tweaked the colors a little bit more, and I fixed some parts of the poster I thought looked weird. And then I added even more glow on the spots I missed, like the bed sheets. Then I added some tiny dust particles, because it makes the poster look more cozy, because it looks more like a messy room that someone would actually live in, instead of a robotic and boring scene. And then finally I tried adding a letterbox, those black bars you see in movies. I usually avoid them in my posters, but this time I really liked how they looked, so I kept them. It actually made the poster look kinda cinematic, which I thought looked pretty cool. Then I added my watermark, and that's it. So here I have the finished result. Not gonna lie, it's way better than I expected, and I also hope you like it as well. If you wanna see more of my work, you can check out my Twitter or DeviantArt. And that's it for the video, so thanks so much for watching, and bye!